Hello, my name is Dan Garriott, and it is March 21st, and I'm standing out here in front of the Liaodong Association building. This is a building where I've rented 3 spaces from them for well over 15 years. And so I want to give you kind of a tour of the building and what the situation is and some of the damages they've done and things that have happened to kind of give you a visual representation of what I'm having to deal with. So I kind of want to just give you a quick tour of it. So this is the building, obviously, and the way it works is I have 2 spaces, this one here and one across the hall. I'll show them to you here in a little bit. And then I have a little storage unit. If you go in that door there and go up a staircase, in the back there's a little closet. And I want to show you kind of how stuff transpired. This happened on the 18th of March, and the president of the Dong Association, Janet, without any notice to me or my subtenant, just came in to the space without our knowledge and did a bunch of work in the space. So I want to show that to you here now. This is the lobby. The Lee Association is behind that door, and they occupy basically the lower half of the building. And if you go up these stairs, these are the doors to our spaces. Again, this is my space, and that is Susan's space. And they're both about 300 square feet. They're pretty small. And I'm going to try to come in here and give you an idea of I've been in this space for 15 years. Arguably, it's cluttered. I have a lot of stuff in here, but I'm a very clean person. And so I kind of want to paint an accurate picture of what happened. While we were gone, they went into this space and the storage unit, which is on the other side of this building, and tore down all of the lighting that was inside of it and replaced it with some cheap LED lights. Again, they did not ask us if they could have permission to come into our spaces. They did not give us any notice. They just came in, did the work, and left everything in disarray. So I kind of want to show you what I'm having to deal with, and it's kind of specific. So if you come in here, again, it's cluttery, but I'm a clean person. So this is, 15 years of collecting stuff. And I kind of want to talk about the stuff too, so you have a good idea. So everything, to put in these lights, if I can show you the lights real quick. They're not neither here nor there, but they are horrible lights. They cast like an awful light. I'll have to show that to you too. But after they did pull down all these lights, it sprayed debris all over everything in here. And to be honest, I don't know what's in the debris. I don't know if there's asbestos. I don't know. I know they didn't test for it. I know, but there's absolutely no attempt was made at all to keep things clean. No, nothing was covered or anything. And you might say, well, so what? But I want to get a little deeper into this. So everything in here has got just a little layer of grit. So if you look at this, let's see if I can capture some of it. Like here's and it's kind of hard to tell, but it's sand on everything. Here's a pillow over here. You can see all this black stuff on there. That's grit that's fallen down out of the ceiling onto everything I own, basically. Now, I want to talk about the things I own. They took everything and they shoved it over here into a corner so they could make room for their ladder so they could do their work. And they left everything here. There's a couple pots that they stacked up. Now, I collect mid-century modern vintage pieces. So even though this might look like just some furniture, these are Lloyd Webber chrome chairs. If these 3, there's another one over there, were in a store, they'd probably be $3,000. This is a Eames storage unit. They're very hard to find, but they run about $4,000. Everything in here, from this cartel stand to these IKEA nightstands to these Modernica pots, are in the hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. So I'm very, and everything in it is my own personal possession. I don't run a business out of here. This is just a space that I use. And so having anybody in here is always very nerve-wracking to me. And then especially having anybody touch anything in here and move it around is all. I mean, I haven't really even gone through to see if anything is broken. Would not be surprised. I'm really worried that that pot's going to be chipped. And so that's, this is, like I said, my own domicile that I occupy, and I pay rent. I've paid rent here on time for over 15 years. And so to come in here and have this happen was very, very intrusive to me. And, it's, so if you look at like this chair is now covered with whatever this stuff is. I'll wash my hands afterwards, but I don't know what it is. And it's very, this box was thrown on here. Below there are presents for friends of mine. And so I have to go through and see what's broken out of that. And, as you can see, they took pots and threw them over here that were on here. And, I have some collectible books that I have. Now it's all covered with dirt. Here's another, these chairs are going to have to be cleaned. And then, you can see like there's just like stuff on everything. Here's the air conditioning unit. Here's my desk. We'll get to that here in a second, but you can see there's just a big layer of, whatever the stuff is on everything. And like I said, I know this place is cluttered, but it's cluttered with collectibles that I've, collected over the years. And I'm a very clean person. You can see I blow stuff off with air, and I've got spray cleaning, and I've got, dust rags. And so I take very good care of everything that I own. And so to have this happen to me, I find this very, very intrusive. So then this brings us over to this side of the office. And with this side of the office, this is where I do my taxes, and this is where I pay my bills, and this is, basically my desk. And again, it's got little bits of grit all over everything. Here's a piece of the lighting they left. So thanks for that. Here's some electrical cable that they stripped out. And, you can see it's on my mouse and throughout my keyboard. And then, there's a scanner I use often for a lot of my documents. As you can see, it's got stuff that's dropped into it. And then over here is a scale I use. It's got stuff on it. And here's the router for the office. Again, I don't even know what that is, but now it's in the air here. And, here's my printer, again, covered with stuff. And you could make an argument. You could say, oh, you can just blow that off and it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. And to that, I would say, can I come over to your house and throw a handful of sand into your laptop? It's still going to run, but, it's not going to run well for very long. And so it's very, very upsetting that somebody would do all this under the guise of just like, oh, don't worry, you're fine. We own the building. It's no big deal. And so to me, it's not fine. To me, it is a big invasion of my privacy in a space, again, that I have paid rent for a long, long, long time. I've been a very good tenant. When you look at this upper space, every inch of this, every building, every room up in this space has been touched by me. I have painted every inch of it. I have done new trim work on every room. I've replaced some of the ceiling tiles. I have done lots of work within this place to be a good steward of this building. And to have this done to me, I felt very, very offended by it. Continuing on, like here's some bills I'm working on. You can see there's like grit and gravel on it. Here's some shipping packages that I use. You can see that there's stuff on that. And so I just cannot tell you, like this table covered in junk. And then I want to talk for a second about the floor. So when I came in, again, everything was shoved over in disarray. It looked like the place had been ransacked. This floor is awful. I don't know what this stuff is. I don't know. You'd want to breathe it in. I know what this is. These are fragments from the previous light fixtures that were hanging, so they had to break them to get them out, and they left all that on my floor. And, you know, it pretty much runs the whole space. And again, you know, it's difficult because you could make an argument like, what's the big deal? It's a little bit of dirt. But at the same time, if I came into your house unannounced while you were gone and I shoved all of your, you know, living room furniture into a corner and painted a wall black because, you know, I felt like it, and then left with all the drippy drips everywhere, you would be beside yourself. And that's how I feel. I feel like my space has been absolutely violated, and I can't tell you how upsetting it is to me. So, you know, again, you know, I think that it's really something that you had to see to kind of understand why it's so upsetting to me. But, you know, for the rest of the time in this space, every time I touch something, there's going to be, you know, some dirt of some sort or whatever, asbestos, I don't know what this stuff is, flying around in here. And I'm beyond upset about it. And so I guess that's what I wanted to do, is just kind of paint the picture of what this has happened. Now, as far as the space across the hall, what happened there, and this is how it all started, is when they started doing work out in the hall, I do have a little camera up there, and it pinged me. And so they only did a little, like one light in the space across the hall. And then they stopped, and then they came over to my space and did my whole space. And so they weren't able to complete the work in that space. And that's how I found out that they were basically breaking into our spaces and doing this work. That also, Janet was the one who let them in. Janet was the one who, you know, allowed this to happen. And basically, you know, I let them know they can't be in here. And then by that time it was too late and they had already done their stuff. And so at any rate, I just wanted to kind of make this short video. It was just about 12 minutes long, that it kind of depicts, you know, what they did, why I'm so upset with it, the worries that I have about all my electronics and my 3D printer over there and everything that I have in here. And I just am really hoping I can find somebody that can help me navigate this situation with them. Anyways, thank you for your time, and I look forward to talking with you more about this.